Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the blog this week. And I'm happy today to introduce you to an online friend of mine, Stacy T. Simmons. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Dina.
How
Thank
are
you.
you?
Oh, thanks. How are you? Thank you for having me
You're,
here. I really appreciate it.
you're welcome. Glad to have you. Stacy and I have been online friends for a while, so it's nice to meet face to face, even though it's via Zoom. I'm excited for Stacy to share with you tonight about herself and her writing journey and her book, her debut novel that's coming out very, very soon. In fact, when this airs, I believe it'll be out. So I'm going to hand it over to Stacy and let her just introduce herself to you. And so go ahead, Stacy, tell us about you and your family, if you would.
Oh, sure. I'll be happy to. Thank you. I'm a wife, a mom of two grown daughters. One's already graduated from college. The other one graduates, thank you, Lord, late spring this year. So very
Yay!
excited. We have a menagerie of pets, a dog, two cats, and a former grumpy show bunny. So we're Noah's Ark over here. I'm excited that my first book's coming out January 18th, and the subsequent ones will come out the 2023 and 2024. And then I have a Christmas novella coming out in a collection that's coming December. So I'm just excited to be here, and I love meeting new people and reading books and drinking copious amounts of coffee.
Yeah,
So it's just a pleasure to meet you, Gina.
yeah,
Thank you again.
yeah, you too. So tell us a little bit about how you started writing and when you started writing. How did this dream come about?
Well, as a teenager, I wrote horribly awful poetry that no one ever saw. So I thought, oh, okay, I could never be a writer. It's not going to happen. And then I even attempted, when my girls were little, writing a children's book.
Mhm.
And all it got to, y'all, was the words. It wasn't. I didn't even know you needed to edit it. I think it was 15 pages long. I wanted a good friend of mine to do the drawings, and I think she read it and tucked it in her drawer. So if she's watching this, you know who you are. Love you, but it would have been fit for human consumption, I'm sure. So fast forward 5 years ago, I'm a special ed inclusion parent, and I was in a class. The kids in integrated language arts were reading, and I looked around and just said, oh my goodness, how cool would it be to write a book that they could read? Well, the Lord had other plans for me. He didn't want me to write dystopian things that the kiddos favored. He wanted me to write Christian fiction. So that's what I'm doing. I'm obeying his
Yeah,
command. So
yeah. So you're
um,
writing Christian fiction. So how do you go about bringing Christ into your stories and showing hope through your stories?
I weave in human frailties that we all have. This book, it deals with having fears and overcoming those fears and trusting others to help you. There's also a preacher in there that's mentioned. So her faith walk is mentioned as well as the heroes. So I always have a Bible verse at the very onset of the book, which ties into the central theme. So I want to have faith laced all the way through it and hope as well. I want to bring a smile to readers' faces and a lift to their hearts as well.
Yeah. So what is the theme verse for your debut novel?
That is a very that is a very good question. You know, I can look it up. I'm sorry, it's been a long day of work with the
That's
kiddos. They
okay.
were
I was
they
just
were
curious.
90 something.
I think it's very interesting that there is a verse that starts out a novel. I've seen a lot of authors do that when I open a novel to read it, and I find a verse at the very beginning, and then as you read the story, you can see how it's incorporated in there. You don't have to look it up. We can find it out when we read it. I actually pre-ordered your book yesterday,
Oh my
so
gosh, thank you, friend. You're so sweet. Oh
yeah,
my gosh, I
so
appreciate
I'm
it.
excited to.
Dean, I did find it, honey.
Oh, okay.
It's Hebrews 11:1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see.
Okay. And so that gives us a little hint into your story.
It does, because she definitely is trying to conquer some fears, and she's got a lot of just deep emotions tied. I don't want to give away the fear, but tied into this fear. So she's got to just trust people, trust Jesus that he's going to bring her through that, deliver her from those fears.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the setting of the novel? Can you talk a little bit about that and tell us, is it a real location or is it a made up location?
It's called Briar Creek, North Carolina. It's a compilation of Blowing Rock, Boone, Banner Elk, North Carolina, and Beach Mountain, North Carolina. My family and I growing up would go there, and we'd rent a cabin, we'd go hiking, even though I'm not really like outdoorsy camping kind of girl, but we would have so much fun gold mining and gem mining and going to Tweets Railroad for those people that have ever been up in the Smokies. It's just a gorgeous place
Yeah.
overall, and I knew I wanted it to be centered there.
Yeah, I love the Smoky Mountains myself. I grew up in Northwest Georgia, so we spent a lot of time as family on vacation because we could easily drive there, and just the beautiful streams and babbling brooks along the side of the roads. It's one of my favorite things in the world. So I'm thinking that reading your book's going to maybe bring back some good memories for me of
Oh
those
gosh,
of those vacations.
I hope so. It
Yeah.
is a fun place for people of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
We took our girls when they were a lot younger, and they still talk about it years and years later. So
Yeah,
it left an indelible print in their heart.
yeah. So you mentioned you have a menagerie of animals like Noah's Ark. So do any of the animals find their way into your books?
I do have two dogs, Sugar and Ranger, in this book, and the only resemblance to our dog Thor is the color of Sugar. She's that beigey blonde color,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a little bit hyper like he is too. Ranger's more calm.
Yeah. So you mentioned you have a full-time job outside of writing. So what does your schedule look like? How do you balance your time with work and family and writing obligations?
Oh, that's a really good question. I wake up pretty early in the morning so I can enjoy my coffee and read my Bible on my phone. And then I also do some social media or writerly obligations before work. Then coming home, my family knows that I'm going to throw something together, or sometimes we get takeout. I hate to say, depends on the day and how busy it is. But then I'll sit at the computer and I'll work for at least 1 or 2 hours a night, and then in the weekends it's my go time. It's more 8 or 9 hours on Saturday and I know I said we shouldn't be working, but it's hard to not some things worked in as well. So maybe about 2 or 3 hours on a Sunday as well in
Yeah.
the afternoon.
I know I don't have a full-time job outside my home, and just trying to keep up myself with writing and editing and the social media and all the things. I just can't even imagine how people with a full-time job, and many authors who not only have a full-time job but they have small children at home that they're taking care of. I am just amazed and in awe of authors who can put books out with under those circumstances. I can't imagine it.
See, I can't either. Oh my gosh, I started writing when my girls were a little bit older. They were in high school, so it wasn't as hard for me. They could drive and then go get
Mm-hmm.
pizza or milk or whatever we needed
Right.
from the store. But
Right.
those ones with little ones, wow, God
Yeah.
bless
I,
them.
amen. Amen. So, what do you enjoy most about being a writer?
Okay, on top of writing and creating a world that comes from your own mind and heart, I love the writing community. It is one of the most friendly, open, enthusiastic groups of persons you could ever hope to meet. It's
Yes,
amazing.
I will second that for sure. I've met some amazing people on this journey, and I've said if I never get published, the time that I have spent just interacting with other writers and getting to know people has been worth my time and investment and relationships I feel like I'll carry for the rest of my life. Amazing people.
Most definitely. So kind, and they're willing to help you too,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
so sweet.
Yeah. So speaking of help, there are these things out there called critique groups and critique partners. Are you part of any type of critique group? And if so, how has that experience been for you? Like maybe some pros and cons.
Oh, okay. I am a member of an online Scribes 216. Shout out to those lovely ladies if you're listening. They're awesome. They've helped me for going on 4 years, and it's morphed and changed. Some of the members have had to leave due to family circumstances or homeschooling their kiddos, and writing's taking a back burner. But I know they're always there with me when I submit. They're going to give me great feedback, and I, I really appreciate that. Then I'm also a member of an in-person critique group, and that it took a little while to kind of develop a thicker skin because in the beginning, when they give me my editorial spanks, we'll call them,
Mm-hmm.
I was yeah, I was just kind of worried, thinking, oh, the whole self-doubt thing comes in. So I would say the pros are you learn to develop a thicker skin, you develop lifelong friendships because I know I can text those great folks and just say, hey, I need a little help with this or that. Can you please give me your advice? And the cons are you just have to kind of learn that they're not trying to be mean or anything like that. So you can't be super sensitive. You just have to kind of roll with the punches, so to
Yeah.
speak, go with
Yeah.
the flow. But it's invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that I would be able to tell to get in a critique group, I say please do. It is amazing. It's so worthwhile.
Yeah, a great opportunity to grow in the writing craft for sure, because sometimes we work on our stories so long, months, sometimes even years, you know, we are blind to the problems in the story. We can't see the holes, that somebody else can find quickly.
Very true. And or they'll see even little things like a repeated word that you
Mm-hmm.
read and you never noticed it before. So
Yep. Yep. We
I'm
have
like,
those pet words that we love.
we do.
Just is one of mine. I just love the word just.
That's me too. Somebody said, cut all those just out. And I don't know, but I can't. I love them.
I know. It just makes sense to use just. I know. So, besides joining a critique group, what other advice could you offer to maybe someone who's watching, who's thinking, I'd like to write a book and maybe get published one day? What kind of advice would you give that person?
I would say to go ahead and get that story out that's been rolling around in your mind for a while. Then make sure that you read some craft books
Yes.
because you don't have that framework that you need in order to have your story supported and have the goal, motivation, conflict, all of those very important story elements that we all need for a great story. Then also to join a writers group, whether it's a local one or the national one, like American Christian Fiction Writers, for example. They've got great online classes monthly. You can get linked into the Scribe critique group. It's just an amazing thing. And then I can't even talk about the conference because we'd be talking for about 10 hours.
Yes, writer conferences are a great way to get connected, to network, and and meet other writers and learn the craft. They have great sessions. I know it can be cost prohibitive for some people because they're not cheap if you go in person. But, I know since COVID hit, there's been so many online conferences that are much more affordable. And you still get the great teaching, and you don't get as much of the interaction, to make friends and meet people, but you do get some still in some of the chat rooms and things like that. So that's been a positive for COVID.
It really has been. I've gone to the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference virtually several times. Great speakers, wonderful presentation material. And then you're right, you get to meet some awesome folks during lunch to keep the lines open so you can chat and various rooms and everything. It's really neat.
Now, do you have a favorite novelist?
I do. My absolute favorite is Charles Martin. The way he writes is lyrical, it's emotional, and impactful. In fact, if I was able to pull a book off of here, I've got some goofy little stuffed animals and a cute little plaque, motivational plaque, walking. But sometimes when I'm writing, I'll pull out one of his novels and thumb through it and just read maybe a paragraph on it. And it's my "What Would Charles Do" moment.
Yeah.
So I'll say, okay, this is where he's going in his story. How's mine going right now? And of course, it's not going to be Charles Martin. Nobody's Charles Martin.
Right.
He's self. But it's just a good impetus to keep on writing and keep that focus and keep the story tight and not try to go off on a tangent.
So he's kind of your inspiration as far as the way you try to write your story?
He is. I know that in one of his books, and I wish I could remember it, at the very end it talks about how many times he was rejected from publishers. It was a lot, a surprising amount. And he just kept persevering. He even told, I believe, his wife, and I don't want to misquote him, that I'm going to give this a go. We're just going to see what's going to happen with it. I mean, with Jesus' help. And sure enough, it finally found its home.
Yes, he definitely has a huge following now, and well deserved because his writing is phenomenal. And you can tell I've read many of his books, and the research that goes into so many of the things that he talks about. I mean, it's extensive. Excuse me, I can get that word out. Extensive research. You can tell. So, what about? Do you do a lot of research for the novels that you write?
Actually, I do have a secret Pinterest page that I'm going to release for A Promise for Faith soon. So that was fun, going on Pinterest and finding things about North Carolina, the views, the tourism, the food, and so forth. But I did do a lot of research. But skipping forward to the one that's coming out in Christmas, just a teeny tiny, but it's set in London and then in the Cotswolds. So I had a blast researching museums, parks, the Airbnbs. I was ready to book a trip.
That'd be fun.
That would be. Can you call it a research trip?
Yeah. I know a lot of authors do that.
Oh, thank you, Dina. I need to tell my hubby.
That's right, and you can write it off on your taxes.
Ooh, even better.
Well, before we have to wrap up here in just a minute, I really want you to talk for a minute about your book, the title, and when it's coming out again, and anything else you want us to know about the story. Entice us, draw us in, and make us want to read your story.
Oh, I will be happy to. A Promise for Faith, Briar Creek Love, Book 1, debuts January 18th, which is a Tuesday. I'm super excited. It's about a test kitchen chef, Faith, who's down on her luck. She doesn't have a job right now. She is going to visit some family, friends in North Carolina on her way with her tail between her legs to go back home to Florida to live with her parents till she finds another job. And she just happens to run into a handsome river rafter from her past who may have some things in a job perspective that she might be willing to do. It's not really in her wheelhouse, but she would have to take that leap of faith in order to do them and still look for a job as well. And this all stems from myself with COVID and everything. I had a 30-hour job per week, and to cutbacks because of COVID, they actually had to move into their home office instead of the office in the town next to where I live. I was like, okay, this is something, you know, everybody's gone through a job loss. My husband's gone through several. When I was at another school, I'd been there for an extensive amount of time. Several other teachers had their hubbies gone through that as well. So I know there's a commonality in that. But yet through it all, it increases your faith. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I wanted to go on this journey as well. Not only as something to overcome her fear, but then overcome her, maybe almost her scared attitude, if that makes sense, towards finding a different job, one that's not quite exactly what she majored in her college.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds good. And then how many books are in the series?
There are 3.
Okay.
The next one comes out January of next year. I just got the release date.
Oh, okay. Don't tell anybody. Okay, everybody that's watching this, shh. But we don't know anything for sure. We don't know anything definite, so no. Well, that's exciting. Well, congratulations to you on your release. And so you said it releases on the 18th on a Tuesday. Well, this blog post will post on a Wednesday, so your book will be out in the world one day, for one day when this.
Oh my gosh.
No, wait a minute. Maybe I'm mistaken. I think this is airing on the 12th. I'm sorry. If this is on the 12th and your book's coming out the 18th, it's the giveaway because you're offering a giveaway. That's what I'm getting confused. So a person who comments on this interview by the 18th will win a copy of the book. So that's why the dates are all jumbled up in my head.
Oh, I completely understand. I'm super excited to get it into a reader's hands. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having that and allowing me to do that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Well, I appreciate the interview today and getting to know a little bit about you and your upcoming books. And we're just looking forward to reading them and seeing what God does with your career moving forward. So thanks for sharing it with us.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Dean. And I can't wait. I'm super excited to read your works as well.
Well, one day I hope you will be.
I will.
All right. You take care now and enjoy your lunch.
Thank you so much. Y'all take care. Have a good rest of your day.
All right.